I wanna slow dance with you.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ella.
Together we're going on a journey, one that's deeply personal and incredibly important to both of us.
Forget the Stigma presents Behind Closed Doors, our new podcast channel. Behind Closed Doors is a lifeline. It's a beacon of hope for those who have felt trapped in the shadows of domestic abuse.
For me, this podcast was a way to honour the memory of my little girl Jessica. She was taken from me far too soon because of domestic violence.
For me, it's a way to channel my pain into something positive and to turn my grief into action.
Behind Closed Doors is a safe space, a place where people can share their stories without fear of judgment or shame. We want to shine a light on the darkness that exists behind closed doors, to break the silence, to end the cycle of abuse.
But we can't do it alone. We need your help and we need your voices. So I feel like everyone who's experienced domestic abuse is all different. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many different types of domestic abuse. Some people don't even realise it is domestic abuse.
Until it's
after. Yeah, either done or people say that that's not right. But obviously my experience with domestic abuse, there's two relationships that were abusive. The first one was with my kid's dad, but it started very early. So it started literally within weeks of knowing him. But I've never experienced domestic abuse before, so I didn't know. I was just like, maybe this is just him, maybe it's normal. So obviously then I got pregnant, blah, 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 and it got worse and worse and worse until obviously what happened. And anyway, that's one of the stories. And then I got into another relationship a year later, and it was literally perfect, like no signs of domestic abuse, until I tried to break up with him because I wasn't happy when I found out I got cancer, and he tried to kill me. He tried to kill me, so there was no signs of domestic abuse, there was no red flags. I did Claire's Law on him as well, no evidence of anything.
No previous history.
No previous, and then I broke up with him because I wasn't happy, I didn't want to be with him, and then he strangled me, tried to kill me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, there's so many different aspects of domestic abuse and stuff like that.
I guess with like the whole domestic, like the whole breast cancer thing, because your life's just too short to stay with somebody that doesn't.
And I wasn't happy anyway, so the last thing I wanted to do was
go through that
with him, no chance.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to.
No.
I grew up around domestic abuse, so it was normalised pretty much for me anyway. Like it was something I saw when I came home.
What, between your mum and dad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't weird. Basically, it was just what happened.
Yeah.
And so when I got in my first domestic violence relationship, it started off just name calling and stuff, and then it only sort of got physically violent when I was pregnant with my daughter.
That's the same with me, yeah.
Then it started to get really bad.
Yeah.
And then
you feel almost trapped as well, don't you?
Yeah,
because you're pregnant with their child, you're literally trapped.
You can't move, you're just a bit stuck.
Yeah.
And it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And then I left for a little while, came back because he changed. And
well, you thought he changed.
Then I got pregnant again, and then it got worse.
Yeah.
Silly, because I don't know why I believed that it would get better. Because I left him loads of times, but it was always the whole, I'm going to kill myself.
That's it with mine as well, with the boy's dad. And you feel sorry for him, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be the reason why you kill yourself, so I'll take that.
I mean, even the first time I pressed charges, his family had a massive go at me for even calling the police.
Same. Oh my god. Literally saying, there was like, we don't call police, we're not snitches in this family. I'm like what?
Like, they were like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have made it, like, such a big deal, despite the fact that he dragged me up the stairs by my hair, strangled me in front of my eldest daughter and stuff like that. But it was my fault. So it was just really, really weird. And then I left him, and then I got with somebody, and I thought, like, because of that, I'd done a Claire's Law thing.
Claire's Law, that's amazing, isn't it, the Claire's
Law?
Law?
They just tell you everything. There'd been nothing, he worked in care, had obviously, like, DBS checks, worked with people with learning disabilities, and so you just assume safe.
He's safe, DBS, all that lot, yeah.
And then, like, there was never any domestic abuse to me. Like, I didn't see anything that would say that he's violent or anything like that. And then one day I go to work, and then I get a phone call, and I'm told my daughter's falling down the stairs, and that's it. Like, and then from there it was kind of like a big rush, because suddenly people are going, well, he's done this, and I'm like, but
There's no indication.
yeah, there was nothing to me that said he was dangerous.
And he was never horrible to them, your children either.
No. I mean, the worst he'd ever said to me is that my kids needed a slap, which isn't the first time I've heard it, which sounds awful, but it's not the first time I've heard it. Because I've got 2 girls with learning disabilities, so it's a whole punishment, like, you know, they get away with murder kind of
discipline,
thing.
Yeah. I've had that before. I'm like, not in that sort of words, but they're like, you need to discipline your kids.
Yeah, that was thing. It wasn't in those words. It was more, you need to discipline them. You need to be, you know, on top of them. Why they get away with it, kind of thing. Because
I'm the same with my kids.
I was literally a pushover. Like,
I'm so soft.
I don't think my kids have ever heard me shout.
No.
Like, it's that sort of limit. I'm such a big softie because of what I went through as a kid. I never wanted them to see anything bad. So I just sort of was a bit of a pushover and gave them whatever they wanted. Whatever they wanted.
So there was no indication of any violence?
No.
That just happened?
Even now, 4 years later, you've got people saying, no, he wouldn't have done that.
Really? But he was guilty? He was found guilty?
Yeah, he was found guilty. It was unanimous. In under 7 hours, they found him guilty of manslaughter and child abuse.
Oh my God.
Because
just that one time as well, did nothing else come up?
What had happened before is, my daughter, she was a headbanger. So, like, she would bang her head against things. Like, she used to put through glass panes and stuff like that, like, level of headbanging. She was even prescribed a helmet that made it soft, so to stop the, damage she was doing to herself. And so she had bruises on her face and stuff, but that was through headbanging.
That was just...
I even went back and got a new helmet made for her because she'd come up in all these bruises. And so, because she can't tell me, she can't talk, and I'd always be told, oh, she headbanged, she did this. Because it always seemed to be when I was at work, which she's my little chef.
So she wasn't verbal either?
No.
So she went, oh, okay.
And so, I'd even taken her to the doctor, so I was like, this is a lot of bruising, it's not right.
Yeah. But was that her headbanging?
No, it turned out it was him.
Oh.
But even the hospital had said, we're fit for another thing, because it had been witnessed by multiple people, her headbanging. She would run across a room and run directly head first into a wall.
So every time she got a bruise or banged her head, you just...
Yeah, we just put it down to headbanging.
Oh my God, that's giving me goosebumps.
Because
it's horrible.
It was seen by doctors, it was seen in hospitals. I was even told by a nurse that she was going to give herself brain injury if she carried on, because she was headbutting a gurney once she split her head open. She was headbutting a gurney. I mean, she did do it that time. She slipped in the bath and smacked her face.
Yeah.
But, she was even headbanging at that point, and she was like a year and a half.
Oh
so
gosh.
it had never stopped. It had always been something she'd always done.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unusual. It was something that was seen by multiple people. So when we put it down to that, we put it down to that. But
then the one time you did it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, it turned out because it just turned out because I worked as well. I worked full time. It just turned out that's what he'd done.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it at first, and then they said he said she'd fallen down the stairs, and I was trying to work out all the kind of ways how a kid could fall down the stairs because she fractured occipital.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't even know.
Anyway, she fractured it and caused catastrophic brain injury.
Oh wow, that's heartbreaking.
And so I couldn't work out how that would happen from fall downstairs. I fell downstairs loads as a kid, so it never never occurred to me.
And then it comes out, and he's obviously in prison now, isn't he?
Yeah, he got 11 years.
11 years.
For manslaughter and child abuse, which I think's wrong anyway, because he was found to have done it before. If you've done it before, then that's intent, isn't it? In my head, anyway.
Well, yeah,
that's murder.
Yeah.
But it just kind of felt like because she was learning disabled, it didn't count almost.
That's horrible.
And then he got bailed after being found guilty. And
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's stupid.
He was charged, then bailed, then found guilty, then bailed again until sentencing.
How long was he bailed for till his sentencing?
Over a month.
Oh my gosh, that's dangerous.
So he got to go about his life some more, and my child's dead. And
oh my gosh, that's horrible. I feel like with my boy's dad, I feel like the justice system helped me a lot. But as in so the last incident that happened, I have reported it loads. And there was if he comes to your house, just call us. Blah blah blah. So he came to my house, he forced his way in, basically not tried to kill me, but he got a knife from the kitchen, my kids were there, blah, blah. And I did have CCTV, but obviously I couldn't call them because he was there.
Yeah.
So obviously when he had gone, I called the police, and then they arrested him and remanded him in prison because he was so like dangerous. But then that's when they came and put all the bolts in, the locks, and I'm like, but he's in prison.
Yeah, it's a bit late now. We should have done this before.
And with my other ex who strangled me in what happened recently, that was literally a year ago, pretty much just gone. I think it was the 5th of May. It happened, and he's still, so the trial's still going on basically. So he pleaded guilty.
Yeah.
And it's been literally a year, and he's still not been in prison. He's looking at a sentence, but he keeps longing it out because he doesn't get a solicitor, or I think a solicitor. I think it took 8 months for the CPS to do everything, and he's still living his life. Like, do you know what I mean? He put me and my kids through like trauma. Like, he is literally a dangerous man. He tried to kill me, and he's still like living his life.
Yeah, no.
Like, do you know what I mean? So I think there should be a lot more.
With the girl's dad, I was told that unless he used to go outside, walk outside my house.
Yeah.
And I was terrified that should out me.
Did they not put a restraining order against him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless he comes in, there's nothing they can do.
Really?
He wasn't allowed to contact me. He wasn't allowed to be within a certain amount of feet of my house.
Wow.
But they wouldn't do anything.
No.
And because we lived in the same town, it made it harder because then I was the one that was afraid to go out.
Yeah, exactly. I was the same with the boy's dad as well. And he had was a non-molestation order, then a restraining order was given. I think it was for 10 years. And
Is that still in place now then?
it's still in place now, but he called me last June.
Yeah.
And he was like, when he found out I had cancer, and he basically called me and said, oh, I hope the cancer kills you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So there's a lot of obviously barriers and things that stop you getting help, isn't there, in domestic abuse? What do you think was some of yours?
Terrified.
Of him?
Of
them?
him, of his family,
What
that I
they'd
wouldn't be
do.
believed.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing is, you can tell somebody something. Like, I mean, I had a text of him admitting to sexually assaulting me over text.
Really?
And it still took them 3-4 months to arrest him.
Really? That's what I find as well. Like, when it started happening, so it started off small, like you say, it normally does start off small, like the name calling, the controlling behaviour, the stealing, all this lot. And then that's not enough to put someone away. That's abuse. That is pure abuse, but that is not enough to say, like, protect you. Like, if he was to be, like, at the beginning, the name calling, like, it was quite serious, but not in the police eyes that serious. If I was to report him, he'd get really angry. They won't do anything. I'm stuck in the situation of, like, he's now more angry, he's going to hurt me more. Do you know what I mean? So you have to literally wait until they pretty much kill you or someone else, or, like, harm someone for them to actually do something.
Well,
do you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a video of, there was a phone call, wasn't there, of the woman whose ex-husband was kicking down the door, and they wouldn't come out when he was just stood outside.
Yeah.
But the minute he started kicking down the door, by the time it took him 6 minutes to get there, she was
It's
already
too late.
dead.
It's too late.
He'd already gone through the door and killed her.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps because it's just so scary. It's like with both of them, like, I just don't know how to explain it. So, like, obviously they say, oh, when he comes to your house, call us. How the hell am I meant to call the police when he stood there with a knife? Like,
yeah, no, it's
do you know what I mean? And my kids are there. You cannot do it. They need to put stuff in place before something bad happens, because it can save lives, and it can.
Yeah.
I feel like not domestic abuse. I said it again. After what happened with my boy's dad, I was in touch with Oasis Domestic Abuse.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worldwide, is it? Do you know?
No, I think it's just area dependent.
Okay, well, it's here. And they were amazing. They would call me every couple of weeks to make sure I'm okay. They put a safeguarding in and obviously referred me to social services to protect my children, which obviously is normal, and they were happy with everything. And they were amazing. I think they were more supportive than... The police were supportive after what happened, but I think they were more personally supportive, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So they actually wanted to save you and, like, protect you, rather than the police just want to
just want to back and done with.
Yeah.
And, like, the police with their little list of questions, like...
Yeah, literally. Oh, answer 1 to 10, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh.
What's that going to do?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, with my girl's dad, I mean, he split open my eye here, and the problem was everybody knew he was doing it, but nobody did anything.
That's
Nobody,
the thing as well.
like, his friends saw him, like, saw the bruises and stuff like that, and, like, but that was okay because he was a big lad and he was boisterous and he had lots of friends, whereas I I've never really had loads of friends and
But
stuff
not
like
being funny,
that.
his friends were probably scared, not scared of him, but scared if they
Yeah,
had
they
told
were.
anyone. Exactly.
Because
So,
he's like 6 foot something
yeah.
and quite beefy.
Beefy.
I don't know how else to describe it. And he was a bully. He'd bully everybody.
Yeah.
Like, but he just used his size against.
And it's manipulative as well. They manipulate people into believing it's not as bad as you make out.
Yeah. Would you rather be in the woods with a bear or with a man?
I think a lot of women would choose a bear.
I think most of them did actually, because I know it's like, I know people go, it's not all men, but it's 97% of women. So,
Really? Well then, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you take chances. Like,
Yeah.
they did a statistic thing on TikTok. It was a really daft thing, but it made me laugh. They found out that one black bear attacked people less than Chris Brown's attacked women.
That's savage. Oh my god.
So it's like,
oh god, it just goes to show. Not all men are the same. Like, I do appreciate, like, there is some good guys out there.
No, you cannot put it with that. You can't put it with a statement like that and say it's not all guys. You can't do that. You're committed to the cause now.
That's committed to it. All men are the same. No, I do
No.
feel like a
not all
lot.
men are all the same, but
Yeah.
like,
And it's scary. Do you know what's so scary is that, especially when you've got kids, right? So obviously I was in a very bad domestic violent relationship. Let me start again. So I was in a very serious violent relationship with the boy's dad. And then when I met the next one, he was perfect, blah, blah, blah. But then after that one, like, obviously I've got a new relationship, which I'm very happy, and he's really, really nice. But I'm just in the back of my head waiting, like, oh yeah, but the other one was nice, but then he tried to kill me.
yeah.
There's
yeah.
always that fear. Like, if I could, like, I'm not being funny, like, I could literally stay single for the rest of my life. I'm not, but sometimes it just happens and you fall in love.
Yeah.
And it's like, but there's always something at the back of my head that you're just scared.
You're waiting. You're
and
waiting
you're just,
for it.
yeah, and there's so much guilt, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to bring them into the boys' lives in case
It does.
they hurt them or me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very scary, and it stops you. Like, in the long run, it really does affect you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just be happy.
I find myself treating my current relationship like the rest of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm tarring him with the same brush, even though he's never done anything like
yeah,
that.
but
never
without
been
even
like that.
realising you're doing it. It just
Yeah.
comes naturally. And it's like you're worried. So without realising it, there's a lot of coping mechanisms. Like, I used to go silent. So when they used to give me shit trying to cause an argument, I used to sit there in silence. And obviously, like, my new relationship, we do argue. People argue,
Yeah.
don't we? It's never really serious, but like, there's all, and I just go silent. He's like, talk to me. Why we get through this? And I'm like, just silent. I cannot speak. Like,
That's
a
what I do.
coping
I go really quiet.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Or I try and leave the conversation, just try and walk away.
not even that. Yeah,
I don't want
you
to
just go
engage in
completely
it.
silent, and then he's just like, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, but they said they're never going to hurt me. If I say the wrong thing, I'm going to get beat up. Like, it's just
Yeah.
horrible, isn't it? So even though they're lovely guys and they're probably never, well, I hope, yeah, not ever going to hurt you. There's always in the back of my head, like, if I say one wrong word or if
Waiting for
I
it.
look the wrong way, he's going to beat the shit out of me. My kids are in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really, so yeah, without realising it, you
You're
kind of
waiting
see
for it.
see them as the way they treated you.
Yeah, you're
Definitely.
definitely just waiting for that switch.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take much, does it? Like,
No.
I mean, I've been thrown across a room for interrupting somebody.
Yeah.
And so the now worry is, like, I will occasionally argue back. And I can be argumentative and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where, even if it's a valid point, I'll back
Just
out of
be
the
quiet.
conversation.
But then in a way, it's not fair on the guys.
No,
Like, the
no.
guys we're in a relationship with, it's not fair on them because we're not basically, what's the word? Like, naming them, or what's the word? You're not like saying, oh, you're all the same, but we're kind of treating them all the same because
Yeah.
of how we've been treated, but without
Yeah.
realising it. Do you know what I mean? It's quite horrible.
It's just, yeah.
It's horrible. But then that in the future can ruin relationships, can't it?
Yeah.
Like, it
It's,
can ruin your
it
happiness.
causes problems.
Yeah,
It can cause
definitely.
problems.
Definitely.
Or like, if you're
hopefully-
jumpy.
Yeah, I've flinched a lot. I think it's normal to flinch, but sometimes it's like a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a situation, when was it? I can't remember when it was, but I was driving with my new partner in the car, and obviously with the boy's dad, I'm terrible with directions, right? So I was driving where he used to live in Banbury, and I got in the wrong lane, thinking it was the right way.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, why are you in the wrong fucking lane? He smashed my head against the steering wheel.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, that's always stuck in my head. When I was driving, and I was pregnant with Vinny, pregnant with my first child, and anyway, so me and my new partner, we was driving, and I panicked. I was like, he's just told me where to go. And I was literally like, even now I'm like panicking, like in my heart. And I was going, and I was like nearly crying. I was like shaking. He was like, you just gone the wrong way. And I was like literally froze. I was like, look, I'm shaking now thinking about it. But I was like, oh my God. And he's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I haven't told him that situation because he hates the thought of it. But it's like, you just think it's going to happen again. And it's just like, oh, it's horrible.
It's
I don't know where I was going with that, but it's horrible.
It's that constant, yeah, I don't know, it's a weird one because
It's
you know
very
they're not,
strange.
you hope they're not like that.
In your head, you know they're nice guys and they are. There's no reason for them to do it, but in the back of your head, you're waiting and you're like, they're all just not all the same. They all say at the beginning, "I'll never hurt you. I'll never hurt you." Like, do you know what I mean? When I first got with the boy's dad, the first time he hit me, when I just found out I was pregnant with Vinny, he tried to throw me over the banister in the obviously the first floor banister where we used to live, and was like obviously dragging my hair and hit me and stuff, and then he was the one that called the police. So I can't remember exactly what happened, but he was actually the one who called the police and then ran away, and I was there crying, and then he was like to me after we spoken and stuff, he was like, I love you so much, that's the only reason I hurt you, I've never hurt anyone before.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I did it is because I love you so much. Anyway, it wasn't until I actually gave birth to Vinny, I did a Claire's Law against him, and he has restraining orders against me, every one of his girlfriends, like, domestic abuse. And I'm like, I'm fucking stupid, like, I'm so stupid. They say it's only because I love you so much, I hurt you, like, shut up.
They start justifying it to themselves and then that justification starts.
And you think it's true, like, oh, they must really love me, they hurt me, oh my God, like, I'm so loved.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid. Looking back at it, how fucking stupid. But it's so true, isn't it? So true.
So I think this kind of thing's important, this kind of podcast, because I think I don't really want other kids to see what my kids saw. Like, because my kids are still traumatised by it.
Well, my son Vinny is. Reggie was too young. He was like 10 months. Not even that, like 6 months old. But Vinny's very traumatised. It's sad. But I do feel like the more stories we get out, and the more people that watch it, they might realise, be like, oh, like if they don't realise they're in a domestic violence relationship, they might be like, oh, well, that's what he does, like.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they realise it's okay, and it's okay to get out of a relationship. It's never going to get better, or do you know what I mean?
No,
they
they're
can
not going
see,
to change.
Yeah, they can look at the videos and the stories we share and be like, there is hope. Do you know what I mean? There is hope that it gets better, and you don't have to stay in that relationship forever.
Then how many times did they say to you that they're going to change?
Well, yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
if you lose me, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill the kids, I'm going to kill myself, and you're like, oh shit, got to stay.
Yeah, I mean,
But now look at them, they're the ones in prison, they're the ones whose lives are shit, and we're all happy.
Why would it be a problem for women to come on here? Why wouldn't women come on here? What would be the problem about getting people? What's the thing you're trying to bridge the gap in of why in a domestic relationship you wouldn't speak out?
Fear of
So when you were going through it, I felt like this, and I just feel like I need to give back because this would help if I had something like this, or even to listen to. So it's not necessarily getting people on; it's the stories you can listen to.
Yeah, I think having even just hearing about somebody else, it makes it a lot easier for you to sort of relate. Like I can relate to like you a lot more than I can relate to somebody else who hasn't been through domestic violence, because you know what I'm talking about. Like because it's embarrassing. Sometimes I feel almost really humiliated by some of the stuff I've been through.
I feel like people judge me. Like, I'm actually embarrassed to tell people. Like, when they say, oh, where's the kid's dad? I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, I'm worried that if I say, oh, he was abusive, we're not together, he's in prison, they're going to be like, oh my God, you're a horrible person.
Yeah,
like, you must be so violent. Like, have you felt that as well?
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm so embarrassed to say I was in a domestic abuse relationship.
Like, what were you doing with that person? You know, you can't make good decisions. Stupid,
it's like... And then they always judge, they're like, oh, I can't believe you put your kids through that, why don't you put your kids first? And you don't realise. But I feel like sharing these stories, I feel like if, say for example, one person watches it and they might be like, oh, like, and also the help we share, like the Oasis, like all the help we're going to share and all of the experiences, they might be like, oh, I might reach out to this person. And like Claire's Law, so many people don't know about Claire's Law.
Nice.
I feel like it should be advertised like on telly, like every day. Like nobody. I was only told about Claire's Law by, I think it was Oasis, the domestic abuse help service, but hardly any people know about it.
No, and they don't tell the people that you're checking up on.
Yeah.
I mean, I checked my current partner and they didn't.
No, they don't tell them, do they? It's just complete disclosure, and they even say because I obviously did one on my recent partner as well. I do it every time just to be 100% sure before I introduce him to the boys and that. And I did it to them, and she had to make me like solemnly swear or whatever. I cannot repeat the stuff they tell me to anyone, sort of thing, or like anything like that. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, Claire's Law is a service you can do online. It's like a DBS check for the person. They can literally tell you anything, can't they?
Yeah,
like,
anything about any sort of domestic violence or
that your relationship
charged, whether they've been arrested or
literally anything.
Yeah, anything to do with that, they will tell you.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it just from your partners. You can do it for like your family's partners, if that makes sense. So like your sister's partner, you're a bit worried, you can do it, and then I think you can anyway.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I think it's a really good service. So those of you who don't know and are worried, I think usually it's a good idea.
I think the problem is obviously you don't know. Like you said, you didn't know about your.
No, and they're not going to tell you. Oh yeah, I got a restraining order against for my ex because I'm a psycho. I tried to kick
They're
down.
gonna make it sound like that person.
Yeah.
Like my ex partner, the girl's dad, tells people I was fucking nuts.
Yeah, so does the boy's dad.
Like,
She's the psycho. She took the boys away from me. I'm a victim. I'm like, I'm protecting them, from you, from their own dad. Like I'm protecting them.
Yeah, it's you did this and you did that and she's evil and.
Don't it make you believe that? Oh, maybe I was the person that was
wrong.
They
like gaslight you into thinking that you're the one that's the problem, and you're like.
Oh, you caused this. You made me hit you.
And if you react, then they've got justification.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, it's so.
I remember when he split my eyebrow open, I pushed him away to get him off me because he was pouring water over my face so I couldn't breathe. So I pushed him away, and where I pushed him away, he then pushed back and split my eyebrow open. But his justification for that was, well, if I hadn't pushed him, it wouldn't have happened. And for a long time, he did things like grab me by the throat, pull my hair and stuff like that. He hadn't actually properly hit me. He just strangled me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, I haven't actually hit you.
That's how you feel, isn't it?
And I was like, so, you know.
So you kind of believe them that it's not actually that bad. Even a message, even horrible words is bad enough. Like, no one should have to deal with that.
No, you shouldn't be called all the names under the sun for no reason, because you've crossed some arbitrary line that doesn't exist.
Not even that, it's just, like with the boy's dad, he used to just purposely make me feel like shit or make me feel ugly or unloved, just so, he used to say, he goes, no one's going to love you, you're fat, you're ugly, this and that.
Yeah.
So in my head, I started to believe it. Like, oh, I have to stay with him because no one else is going to love me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to have a few people on doing podcasts, sharing their stories and experiences. There's a lot of advice that we can give if anyone wants to message us or come on for a podcast to talk to us. We'll always be happy to talk to you, give you some advice. I don't know, you've experienced the same as we have, or you just want to talk to someone, anything, just give us a message or react to our post. Yeah, and we want to create a safe space for everyone to openly talk or just feel safe. So follow and subscribe to see more stories and experiences and to see our beautiful faces. Again.